Read and react with more news. Staying in Atlanta, where voluntary workouts are underway. Running back Bijan Robinson spoke earlier today on the Falcons' soon-to-be quarterback competition. Take a listen.
I think the competition will help them become great players in themselves, and those are two great dudes. Like, I've already talked to Tua. Obviously, me and Mike, we're bros already, but even Tua is coming in here with an open mind, trying to get better, asking questions already, and I think when they get the offense down and when they build that confidence, then it's our part, me, Drake, Jahan, Kyle, Charlie, like all the guys, to make sure that we're playmakers for them and to make them feel as comfortable as possible, no matter what the situation is, when it comes down to it.
Bogue, who do you think's the best option there as QB1, Tua or Penix?
Well, I think right now it's going to be Tua, number one, because he's healthy. We don't know when Michael Penix and that knee is going to be healthy. And Tua kind of fits the offense a little better from a rhythm and timing standpoint. It's going to be a lot of play action when you bring in Kevin Stefanski. So I think right now, even if you look at it by no way of health, it's going to be Tua Tagovailoa that's going to start this season, and we'll see where they go from there.
Yeah, certainly at the start of the season. That's also.
Yeah. I think it's so the Atlanta Falcons, they're just such an interesting team. Yeah, Bijan Robinson. Yeah, you have a lot of dudes on offense. And you have Bijan Robinson, who led the NFL in scrimmage yards. And you look at the Falcons' record, you look at how inconsistent they played, but then they had other games and other wins where you're like, that's a big time win. Like that's and not only the win itself, right? Whether it be the Bills, Rams, whatever. It's the way it unfolded. It was the way it was played against the Bucs with Kirk Cousins. Like you look at the moments. You look at the execution and you're just like, and that was what continued to be so frustrating about this team. There you're just like, man, if you guys can just put this together, you're like a legitimate team. When you first got Kirk Cousins before the draft of Penix, it was a popular opinion. It was not a fringe opinion, but it was a popular opinion that this team will be a top team in the NFL. Yeah, even some people being like, this is the team to beat. Yeah, once you start to say things like the team to beat and the Super Bowl contender, you start to get a little bit more extreme in the takes, but like it was the general consensus, this is a great team. This team is going to win a lot of games. They're going to be competitive. They're in the front row seat to at least win the division, etc., etc. And obviously that's not at all how this has unfolded. But there's still such the bones. Now obviously this has changed over these last couple of years. But there's still such forces there where it's just like, man, if you can just be consistent, if you can just be organized and then actually make the effort to put not only the ball but the game in your playmakers' hands, both offensively and defensively, which, let's be clear, the Falcons didn't always do that for whatever reason. If like they just consistently do that, it's like they can be in a position to like just feel like an actual full functioning football team. I mean, like it's a bizarre way to say it, but it's how I feel right now. Like though the Falcons have burned me a handful of times, and it's just like, if we can just feel that this is a full functioning football team, it's like, well, okay, then great. Then like they can do damage, like they can do work, because this, especially when you have someone like a Bijan Robinson, like the ability to catch fire, the ability to build off of that momentum, the ability to win games solely because of the greatness of like a Bijan Robinson. It's just like it's there for you. It's just absolutely there for, I mean, like, didn't we see that against, I'm pretty sure, I think it was against the Rams, when you were just like, this is just how unbelievable he is. Yeah, exactly. I knew it was. 22 carries, 195 yards, 8.9 yards per carry. And he had the 93-yard. And like usual. The books get cooked a little bit when you have like a 93-yarder where you're like, well, yeah, of course his numbers are through the roof. He had a 93-yarder, right? And like sometimes when that happens, it's like it was just one bad play or one missed tackle and then everything else got exploded open. But like, even if you remove his 93-yard long, he still had over 100 yards, like I remember that, and you're just like, when you have that type of player, that type of impact of a player, right? And then you add in a London, Pitts, etc., like you should be able to be more consistently competent. You should watch more games where you're like I feel like I'm watching a functional football team. And yet they weren't always there. I mean I can't tell you how many times I'm watching a Falcons game and it just cuts to like Raheem Morris just like staring off and you just like see him just like kind of like looking into space and you're just like does anyone have any idea what's happening right now? Like does anyone have any answer for what we're all watching? Like how a game like this is unfolding. I'm talking about the bad games, not a game like this cause this game you're like oh my gosh, unbelievable. Kirk Cousins played really well in this game as well. But I remain excited that Stefanski can bring that. But then the ultimate question then becomes Tua and Penix, Tua and Penix, Tua and Penix. Size, clears throat, I do believe like this is where. It's interesting because we've seen a Stefanski have a lot of success and we've seen him fail a lot. I do think a lot of the failures go more on the shoulders of the absurdity of the Cleveland Browns and all of that. But it's just like it's a weird situation. And then you look at someone like Tua who we've seen literally have like an unbelievable season or two with Mike McDaniel and all of that. And then also obviously have everything really crumble and just look like, this is just not going to end well. And then you have Penix who is like I really loved what I saw at the end of his rookie year and then even a handful of games this past season. But then of course, plenty of incredibly bad moments and just, an overall season that you're just kind of like it's not quite what I was hoping to see and then of course culminating in an injury. So, you're really talking about three people that have massive roles on this team, right? Quarterback, head coach and you're just like what's the truth for these guys? What's the reality of who these guys are? And can they benefit each other? Like this might be the ultimate team right now where you could say this is going to work or this is going to just be awful. Like this is you're just going to be like what am I watching right now? You're just like I can see this absolutely having such awesome momentum and such awesome high levels of competency where we're just like yes, this is what I've been waiting to see. And I can also honestly genuinely see it just though the exact opposite of that unfortunately. And it's hard to really guess because again it's like who is the quarterback? Tua or Penix? Like what's the story there? And I think it is hard to always evaluate especially a coach when you don't really have the quarterback and you have a messy franchise, you have a messy owner, you're in a weird situation. You pay a quarterback over $200 million and he's not even playing but then he's injured and yet you still want him to play like it's like all weird stuff. Like all really weird stuff. So, Stefanski's timeline as a coach has been pretty bizarre from Baker to Deshaun Watson to Flacco to, Shader, right? Like it's how and all that alone is crazy. Now you combine that with on the Cleveland Browns. You're like how do I do that? How do I make sense of that? Tua seemingly shows moments of like really high level football. Obviously has the concussions issues. Obviously his game has changed to a degree but there's also like Tua you're like what is that? Penix unfortunately can't stay healthy and had too short of a run where we haven't seen enough out of him quite yet. So, you're just like how do we put that all together? The best versions of them I shouldn't even say that cause that's probably kind of too much of a given. The good versions of them the good versions of not only coach and quarterback. If you just get the good versions out of them, I think this offense can be great. I think this offense can be honestly actually even bordering special. But I don't know if we absolutely, it's like I can't say with my chest you're going to get the good version of him. Not only are you going to get the good version of him, you're going to get the great version of him. I can't say that cause it's just too messy of a history for all parties involved. It would just be guessing and I don't want to just say that just for the sake of positivity or say it just so I could excite the Atlanta Falcons. I try not to do those things. It's, just uncomfortable for me so I just want to be as real and as honest and like I believe in the decisions that they're making but now that all this is really marinated for me and I've been really thinking about it more and more and it's just like, Where are we? And then when you also realize like what they have and what some of the players have been able to accomplish and and you're just like, this is definitely an example of a team that if they can just if they just put it together in just a solid way and again just a good way, you're like this can like really pop. The problem is I do think even with Momin Tum, even if it does go how I hope it will and believe it can, just in my good example, I still think the trust will be on comfort. I don't know, especially this immediate season, if you have the trust into it or the trust in Penix quite yet. You probably have a better chance building that trust with Penix because he's younger and you haven't really seen him fail or really kind of crash and burn, so to speak, so there's still the feeling of like no, Penix is just achieving what he was meant to achieve in a way where Tua will always, there's always a fragility with Tua unfortunately because of his concussions and stuff. But you know, building that trust and that foundation I do think will be a little bit harder for the Falcons just by virtue of the situation that they find themselves in, but I will stand by that if they just get good coaching and good quarterback play, the true bona fide established playmakers that they have, you're going to get even better versions of them. There's no reason why you wouldn't. And so it's like if you get solid good consistent coaching and quarterback play, why would Bijan Robinson not even be better? Like why would we not be able to see that even erupt even more? And then everyone else to be able to follow and even just build off of that. Like that's what I find so incredibly, intriguing, and that's just the offensive side of the ball. The defense side of the ball with some of the stuff that's happening like off tee. He field and whatnot, you're like alright, I kind of have to wait and see him how much of, Raheem Morris, how much of an impact on defense did he have, right? Like some of that will kind of be a lot more clear, but I saw, what the anonymous NFL exec soundbites or quotes or whatever that was in that one article that was kind of, making the rounds, and one of them was like, I don't know what the Atlanta Falcons are doing, none of their decisions make sense and Matt Ryan has no idea what he's doing, blah blah blah, and I'm like, I like the decisions that they're making. I know they're not the biggest boldest swings, and there's not, like I said, you're not setting yourself up to trust what you've built even if you built it and it's successful. Again, for someone who's saying like I believe in it, I am telling you right now it's like it'll still be hard for me to trust, and it's a scary and an uncomfortable place to be in, but it doesn't mean that it can't be successful or that it won't be successful. So the Falcons are incredibly intriguing, and it's interesting to me, and I'll end here just to really kind of emphasize and drive home the point. It's like I think all they need to do is be good to actually be great and have a lot of success, so the bar is actually pretty low, yet I think it's also still incredibly fragile as well. Which I can't remember the last team that I really kind of felt that way, because you can always kind of feel like I think this team's either going to be great or terrible, boom or bust, but it's for different reasons, and so like there's like a less sense of a fragility. Like I can feel that way sometimes like about like a team like the Eagles, where I'm like they're either going to be a top team in the NFL or they'll collapse, and it's like it doesn't mean that I think they're fragile. It's just that I see two extremes. With the Falcons there is that sense of like no, like things actually can go how you hope them to go, but there is a sense of fragility there. So I find that pretty interesting. Those are just my thoughts. I'd absolutely love to hear yours. How are you guys all feeling about the Atlanta Falcons and the situation that they find them in right now? Did you see that anonymous GM or anonymous exec, whoever it officially was, and what their position was in terms of like how do you feel about the moves the Atlanta Falcons have been making? Do you understand what I'm saying about like they just need to be good to have a lot of success, and yet there is still a fragility there? Let me know your thoughts. I read every single comment. So whether you agree with me or disagree with me, either way let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights, but ultimately let's just have some fun. Please do consider subscribing. We're building an amazing community here, and I absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all generally feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of. I think we're well on our way to doing it. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. It really does help the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much. See you next time.